Hey everyone, what's going on? My name is Jared Fite. This is Drew Roberts, and we just wanted to come today and talk to you guys about work-life balance and time management and the myths and the fallacies that might come up on your journey. So, Drew, I'm gonna lead it off to you here. And what does work-life balance mean to you?
Yeah, I think for everybody it's a little bit different, right? So in the community that we have here, I'm sure there's guys that are 9 to 5 guys. We may have guys that are seasonal workers and all of that. So I think for everybody it means something a little bit different. I think as an entrepreneur, I think that work-life balance is a little bit of a myth sometimes. And so for me right now, I have a bunch of different projects that are going on in businesses that are at the growth stage. And so work-life balance for me at the moment is pretty much non-existent, but I think that's okay. And I think that there's a lot of times business owners, they feel like they have to have a real work-life balance because that's what you see on TikTok or Instagram or wherever it is. And I think sometimes we just live in seasons of life, and I think everybody's different. And I know for you, Jared, I'd love to hear a little bit about your aspect of that, having kids and a family and a business that you're running, and then on top of it, you're doing all this other stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
I guess what does it really mean for you at this stage with everything you have going on?
Well, to be completely honest with you, I'm of the same thinking as you when it comes to work-life balance. I think life itself is a work-life balance. And to try to, yeah, well, look, for instance, like I hear it all the time, like you got to, Drew, you and I have talked about this. You
Yeah,
got to get up at 5:30. You got to crunch that 30 grams of protein. You got to read 10 pages of a book. And that's all great. Like there's a time and a place, but sometimes it doesn't happen. And especially as a father, what's interesting is I can have this momentum and I can have like, oh, this was a great day. That was a great call. It's a great experience. And then my kid gets sick in the middle of the night, and I'm up until 3 o'clock in the morning with the kid that's puking in the bathroom, right? And you
right.
try to think to yourself, okay, all right, where's the momentum at 5:30 in the morning? And guess what? It's not there. You sleep in, the kid's staying home, your wife has got to go to work, you got to make breakfast, and before you know it, you're 6 hours behind in where you're supposed to be. So my most important thing and something that I have to get better at, um, with everything I'm doing is just being okay with the part of life that you're at and the day that you're having. And I don't want to say you feel like you have to
Big
catch
time.
up. Yeah, right. I mean, you have to go through the motion and say, okay, that's okay. This is a time and a place. Gonna get through it. I'm gonna find some makeup time in the afternoon. And that's that's the most important thing, is to not let yourself get down. Because if you have to stick to this extremely strong regimen, you're never going to accomplish anything. You're going to be on a hamster wheel that's spinning, because you're never going to get ahead, and you're always going to be behind. You're going to start getting discouraged. It's something that is so hard to manage. But if you can just let go and know that this is what you have to take care of now, and focus on that and not get discouraged, continue your momentum, and just it's funny, Drew. I actually look at it sometimes as like, when I don't get upset about it, and I've been better lately, it's like, okay, cool. This is an opportunity to see how good I can be. This is an opportunity for me to kind of push forward and kind of say to yourself, okay, you know what? Like, this is a challenge, and this is okay, because my end goal, whatever that might be, is a big prize in the sky. And these little bits of adversity that knock me off my path, and my work-life balance isn't where it needs to be, and I'm not following my 75 hard, I'm not doing all these things. You know what? That's okay, because I will find a way to make it work in the end. So it's a constant, motion, right? And to hold yourself to such constraints, all you're going to breed is letdown. And that's what
Big
I've been
time.
trying to be better at. And as much as I got going on, and all the irons in the fire that I'm just trying to see what gets the hottest, right? I
Yeah.
just kind of get to the point. It's like, you know what? That's okay. I'm not lazy about it. I'm looking at it as a challenge, like the gym. It's straining, it's hard, but you know what? You got to push through. You got to push
Yeah.
through to the other end, and hopefully tomorrow, if you want to get up at 5:30 a.m., good for you. For me personally, not my thing. Get up and hit the ground running. Hopefully both kids are in school. Hopefully my wife gets to work on time. That
And I
that's
think
that's kind of where I'm
too,
at with it.
yeah, and I think too that you see so much, and you and I've talked about this too. I've talked
Yeah.
about it with other guys, and it's like you see all these programs or these books or these whatever, and it's like you got to live this regimented life to accomplish things. And like that's just this is my opinion, right?
Okay.
But like I just don't think that that's attainable. You know what I mean?
No.
Like you're going to tell me that you're going to get up at 5:30 every single day and you're going to do all these things every single day. Well, like you said, what if you have kids? What if they get sick?
Mhm.
What if your car breaks down on the way to the
Yeah.
gym? What if, like, there's so many things that happen in life, and then a lot of times, like you said, is you wind up trying to play the catch up game, and then
Yep.
you wind up feeling guilty about it, and then you start getting down on yourself because you're like, oh, I'm not accomplishing my goals, and like, so honestly, I think it was um, Patrick Bet David. I heard a video of what he said. I thought it was like one of the most awesome things I've heard from an entrepreneur, and I'm paraphrasing here, but what he said was is he had an opportunity in front of him that he knew it was going to take him, I think it was like 6 months. He was going to have to live out of balance for 6 months. And he went to his wife and he just said, hey, this is what I'm doing, right?
Mhm.
I'm gonna miss the kids games. I'm not going to be home for dinner. I like this is There's going to be things that happen over the next 6 months. I'm going to live out of balance. But he kind of put an expiration on it somewhat,
Yeah.
and then he explained how this was beneficial to the family, right? And I think a lot of times it comes down to that communication, but he almost gave himself the freedom to say, you know what, yeah, I might eat like shit a little bit, or I may not make it to the gym every single day, or I may do this, but like here's what I'm doing for this short period of time, and I'm gonna live out of balance, but eventually I can get back into something that's a little bit better. And so I think it's hard because you're running towards things, right? You're running towards goals, you're running towards a lot of the stuff that you're trying to accomplish. But if you're just constantly beating yourself up because you feel like you're behind, like you're doing yourself a mental detriment massively. And you're not going to be as, when you do have the time, you're going to be worried that you're not farther along in your day. And so
Yeah.
I think hearing from people and just realizing like, hey, stick to 80%. Like if you can create a calendar for yourself and you can stick to 75,
Yeah.
80% of that calendar, like, man, you're winning. Like it's more than
Yep.
most people, you know? And so I think it's a matter of setting the right expectations for yourself and building in those times where you're like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to go out to hang out with my friends on Friday because I'm doing X, Y, and Z, or like, no, I can't do that this weekend. And so
Mhm.
I think that's just a major part of it is like setting yourself up for success mentally. Because if you're an entrepreneur or if you have goals that you're going after, when you're not obtaining those goals or you feel like you're off track, it can be demoralizing. So like how do you set
Yeah.
yourself up to make sure that you're still running towards those goals, but understanding that you're a human being and like life is gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
Drew, I want to say a couple things to that though too. Uh, just one example, and then just a couple thoughts too. It's funny because what if all those guys that wrote the books and found success, what if that was just the schedule that fit into their daily life? And and,
Right.
and yes, they found success. They're the two percenters. But what if it's just was so happened that that was their schedule that they found worked, and they said, "Oh, wait a second, I think I was able to do this because I was structured and regimented, and I did this every single BS, absolute BS." Like that is just that is crazy. But the funny thing is, I'll just give a little example. So you just mentioned something about Patrick Bet David's. He's 6 months through a hard time. So I recently, my wife and I have an awesome relationship. She's amazing. I'm the luckiest guy in the world to have her. But January hit, and there in my business, and one of the businesses I'm getting off the ground. I said, hey, I kind of have this feeling. I'm like, man. the way things are turning out, the next 4 months are gonna be really tough. They're really tough because I'm
Yeah.
balancing a job that I'm doing now, right? And I have to adjust my schedule, my client flows, and things of that nature. And I'm also the time where I have to start traveling a lot more to DC. And we're kind of in that thralls of winter. I just said, listen, the next 4 months are going to be really tough, and I just want to prepare you for that. And I was letting her know, be aware, it is going to be tough. Okay, here we go. I come back from DC. I tell myself, okay, Jared, you're burning the candle at both ends. You got to change that. You got to start bucketing some things and being a little more structured. Because the one thing about me is sometimes I have an unquenchable amount of energy, and I can just go. I mean, for almost 42 years old, I feel like I got a lot of energy bandwidth. Okay, and I'm like, you know what? You're feeling a little run down. Make sure you go to the gym for an hour. You do this for an hour. You work on this project for an hour, and then you see where everything else, whatever you didn't get done, you fill it in the rest of the day. Come back from the plane, go to the gym the next morning, that mindset. I'm like, yes, I'm structured. I'm good. I've been doing this forever, 20 years as an entrepreneur. I can do this, right? I lean back on the bench and I'm like, that's weird. Why's my back sore? Huh, odd. My starting weight to warm up felt like my max weight. And I was like, oh, and I instantly got a cold sweat. And I was like, oh no, this is not good. Driving home, chills the whole way. I was in bed, and I will get, the whole house will be sick, and I will end up getting sniffles and saying it's allergies. And everyone else is dying on the couch. I'm like, you guys are stupid. I got this, whatever. When I tell you, I literally had to cancel meetings and schedules because I couldn't pick my face off my pillow for 4 days. I had
Yeah.
fever. And so I was like, I'm gonna be structured. I'm gonna do this. And God was like, you know what, dude? I don't know if that's gonna work for you today. And it knocked me on my butt. So my whole mission to you know have this agenda and have this 4 months of me tough. We're gonna get through it. Literally kicked me right in the face from day one. And it was mind-boggling, but I
And
had to go through it.
I think to that point though too, what I said before was like, yeah, you can live out of
Yeah,
balance, right?
yeah,
But everybody's different and their capacities are different, right?
yeah,
I'm very much like you where I don't get sick. Like I don't remember the last time I actually got sick. Legit,
yeah.
like legit. Besides like a
I
sore
do.
throat. I think
Yeah,
I think
right. Yeah,
I think like high school for me, right?
yeah,
And but I've also recognized that for me, I have the ability to not sleep a lot and like just work like nonstop. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's how I've always been. But what I've realized too is like I'll go weeks on end with that, and then my like my work that I'm doing is like is shit compared to like what I normally. And so I think it's important. Like living out of balance is like one thing, but I think
Yeah.
you also have to be self-aware enough to know like, okay, I gotta tone it down. And whatever like God is telling you, hey, like if you're not gonna slow down, like, well, here
I'm gonna
you
slow
go,
you
bud.
down.
Like I'm gonna
Yeah,
slow you down and you're gonna take a break here, right? And I think you
yeah.
see that a lot for sure.
Well, Drew, the funny thing is, and you and I both athletes and stuff, and I always equate business to athletics because I think there is amazing structure and regiment. But let's just say we're playing basketball, okay? And my team has got a game plan. We run this play, pick up top, the power forward goes down low, boom, every time. That's what we do. What about the defense that's going to play for that? Are
Right,
you going to be able to adjust, or is you so regimented with those plays that you're just never going to be able to, adjust to what the defense gives you, right?
right,
That is life. It's chess. It's chess. It's chess with yourself. It's chess with your opponents. That's the game of life. Why do we think that in order to be successful, and the terrible thing is you have so many young talented individuals. Obviously, our group, we're focused on the young men and
right.
giving them a voice and people to look up to. But like if they're 21 years old, they decide not to go to college. They did one year in college, but they realized they want to be an entrepreneur. And if they think, and their brains are still so impressionable, if they think they have to fit into this regiment, they're going to waste years of their life when it's really the experiences of the business that dictates your life that then pushes you to the next level and the adjustment to do it. So to be so regimented, it just doesn't make any sense. And like I said, I'm sometimes it works for people, perfect situations, that works great, but it's unrealistic. And I don't want these young
Yeah,
individuals to think this is the life they have to live.
right. And I think that was the main goal of like what you and I are trying to do with this topic is just saying
Yep.
like, hey, it's okay to live up like out of balance. It's okay that yeah, if you have a 9 to 5 and you can work out every day after work and you're good, like that's awesome. But
Yeah.
you start adding in family, you start adding in life, like
Yep.
don't more or less like don't beat yourself up because you're not living to that expectation or that schedule that you've set for yourself. And everybody's different. And I'll tell you for me, trying to consistently wake up at the same time every single morning does not work for me because there's times where my mind's going and I'm up till 2, 3 in the morning because it's quiet. I can think for whatever reason. I'm just like in a zone and I just
Yep.
go. And so, but I've done that where it's like, oh, well, okay, I went to bed at 3 o'clock, but I still want to wake up at 8. Well, it's like, well, yeah, I'm going to feel like crap the next day. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
being able to understand what is the overall goal here. And everybody is different, you know? And so it's just, that's I think it's a matter of listening to yourself, understanding what your goals are, and putting expiration dates on certain things. Like if you're going to go hard for 2, 3 weeks at a time, that's fine, but you better give yourself some time, right? Which
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
this is a pot calling the kettle black, by the way, because like
But that's entrepreneurship, though.
yeah,
I mean, that's just the name of the game. And you know what it really is? And the best advice anyone could give these young individuals, and you know, just based off my little bit of experience, is just remember your goals and remember what your dreams are, and that will carry you. And everything will plug in the way that it's supposed to for the time in history that
yeah,
you're in. Plain and simple. It's that easy. Just have a dream. Just have a dream. Have a belief of what you expect your life to be. You don't know if it's going to be tomorrow. You don't know if it's 10 years from now, 20 years from now. But I can tell you what, if it's 20 years from now and you get to that mountaintop, you're not going to give a shit how
right,
long it took you because you're there now. And then you have a better story to tell. It wasn't handed to
big
you. It
time,
wasn't simple. It was hard. And that's the best stories right there because we all
big
got hard
time.
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
It's actually funny because before we got on here, Justin, one of my other board members, he was I caught one of his short videos. And he said something that really stuck. It was like what he said was the people that I've seen that have been the most successful are the ones that they don't stop, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so it's like most of the time, and I'm guilty of this previously for sure in my life, is I get to a point and instead of just pushing through just a little bit farther, I pivot and
Hmm.
go a different direction, right? And I
Yep.
think back a lot of times where I'm like, what if I would have just stuck through it? What if the hardness was just the barrier of like how bad do you really want this? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
so I think that it's a belief and it's having a dream, but I think it's also the people that are what are you willing to do and how consistently and how long are you willing to do it? Because if you have an expiration date on how long you're going to do something for, right? Like a bigger
Yeah.
goal. I'm not talking about the example that I gave with Patrick Red David, but if you're going after something that's big enough, it's going to be hard. Like
Yeah.
if you're creating something new, it's going to suck. Like there's going to
Yeah.
be really good things, but hopefully you can look back after you get past that blockage and you can turn around and be like, man, I became a different person because of this. And a lot of times that's the part that I struggled with a lot when I was younger. Is I just wanted something, right? A
Hmm.
goal, whatever it was. And what I've realized is to accomplish certain things at a certain level, you have to become a different person. But the only way to become that person is by going through
Yes.
all the hard shit. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
And that's, obviously everybody's situation is different, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's the fun part, when you actually can sit and enjoy the misery of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it winds up not being a stressor for you. It winds up being something that you realize, like, man, this is character building. I'm becoming a different person. I'm becoming more resilient. I'm becoming the person I need to be. That's sitting in that spot,
Yeah.
accomplishing that goal. You know. So
Yep.
I think that's, I don't know. We got a little off topic there. We're getting a little more
There's so much to
philosophical
talk
here,
about.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
There's so much to
big
talk about.
time,
Yeah.
big time. But yeah, so I think really from a standpoint, anybody that's watching this, our board members, we're going to have advisors and things like that in the group, and we're going to continue to push these videos and things like that to you guys, just on different topics that are important to us, that hopefully strike a chord with you guys as well. So yeah, so appreciate anybody that's still watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.